The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around. What do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. Until we do, these people are still part of that system. That makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Are you listening to me, Leo? Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening?
Nuance. Noun. A subtle difference in or shade of meaning. Expression. Or sound.
Nuance. Noun. A subtle difference
Nuance.
in or shade of meaning.
Noun.
Expression.
A subtle difference in or shade of meaning.
Noun.
Expression.
A
or
subtle
sound.
difference in or shade of meaning.
Nuance.
Expression or sound.
Noun. A subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound.
I know what you were talking about, and I'm just not going to play that game. All right, so this morning.
You know what? Yeah, so we were talking, and let's do something that's fun. I want to see if we can experiment with this. So I understand that tangentially, you are aware of one of my key frustrations right now, in that I started my career digging into criminal justice, found out that it was full of not having any evidence. And then as I keep digging into more subjects, I keep finding that we don't have evidence for the things that we believe. So that leads to why I guess I expect you to understand my frustration, or expect other people to understand my frustration, because what I want to do is read our text message that we did this morning. So I'll read my parts and you read your parts, so we can set the stage about how we got here.
Fine.
Do you have it ready?
I'm calling it up right now.
Okay, so
I won't have to do much reading.
yeah, I know, but I think it's also fair to use this point to, I'm sure you deal with this when people that are like, why do you talk to Mike Wood? Because anybody that talks to me gets that question. And it's like, I do have a filter. People think I don't have a filter, but like the public voice that they say, man, this guy has no filter, that's the filter. So
yeah,
so I guess,
no one's ever said to me, why do I talk to you?
okay, a lot of people get that, like, because I do come off a little abrasive, but I want people to say that that's the nice version.
Oh, really? So this is toned down, is what you're telling me?
Well, I'm saying I'm going to read the text messages so that people can see the conversations that I have with you off the air. This is shit I would never say to you on the air. You know?
Yeah, do it. Go ahead.
Okay. So this BuzzFeed story enough to finally wake you two up. It has to be close enough. It has to be close to enough straws, right?
What are we supposed to wake up to? Trump is a proven liar. Cohen is a proven liar. Giuliani is a proven liar. Next.
That information you think is that everything you think is information is fabricated narrative. Nothing from any of your Trump discussions have been evidenced. Everyone is a proven liar. Moot point. You have 2 years of podcasts about the nigger tape, treasons, collusion, fraud, blah, blah, blah. None true. None with a shred of evidence. It is all right in front of you. Other than Ford's insane delusion, all Kavanaugh accusers have admitted to lying. What the fuck are you even saying? Lawyers take advice from clients? LOL. Oh, no, you said, okay, so.
Yeah, you skipped over me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, okay, let's play this game. If Trump is proven to have told Cohen to lie to Congress, should he be impeached? And then you went out with your four.
I
so
said,
that's
what
right.
the fuck are you even saying? Lawyers take advice from clients? Laugh out loud. Shut the fuck up with that. No for your short answer.
And then I said, why is that relevant to my question, referring to the Kavanaugh thing? Okay, thanks for the direct answer, referring to no, to the impeachment question. Back to you.
Okay. So seriously, because it cannot be taken as legitimate or rational. This is like a parent telling a cop to lock up their bad kid. It's an irrational proposition. God damn, I do not understand the lack of liberal critical thought. So, go ahead.
So what critical thinking applies to the BuzzFeed story? It could be true. You don't know, and neither do I. You just said it doesn't matter if it is.
Not about the story itself, about the creation of the story. It is fabricated. Mueller is a liar now? Oh my God, I can't take it. I need these to be recorded. So
here we are.
Conversation.
Okay, so yeah, good to know. By the way, we both did a pretty shitty job of reading a script that we wrote for ourselves just half an hour ago.
Yeah, I know.
Just,
but that's okay. We're not supposed to be scripted. We're supposed to be authentic individuals.
So
and now Steve is replying to me because I did that in a group text. That's why I kind of hesitated there at the end.
by the way, Steve is in Vegas right now. So
he thought we weren't playing nice, but that's what he gets is we're not as sensitive like that. We can be mean to each other, and we're not good at.
Yeah. All right. So what is fabricated?
All of it.
The whole. Well,
Mueller said it's fabricated.
Okay. Well, no. Mueller said that he would not support the story.
I mean, he's being politically. That is I'll pull up the statement while we're saying it, but he said a politically correct version.
or a lawyerly version.
Sure. A lawyerly version.
So that lawyerly version might be something to the effect of, I'm not going to verify the statement at this time. I don't read.
He has never said anything before, so that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So of all the things that have come out, he's never said anything before. This one, where they're saying they have specific statements, Mueller came out and said, no, that's preposterous. That's not what happened.
All right. And again, can you please find the exact quote?
Yeah, and BuzzFeed is even sitting here saying that they're still like sticking by it, and then they won't even tell who their sources are. Now, when you have the actual individual in charge saying that it's not right, and you're still sticking by your story, it's time to give up your sources and prove it.
I think you eventually have to give up your sources and prove it, but
they're never going to. None of that's ever going to happen. This will all be gone in 3 weeks, and everybody will be talking about the next thing.
Very probably.
Just talk about the next fabrication. Why can't I find the actual quote?
I don't know.
See, that's the thing. Is these things get wiped off. It's like Michelle Obama's pregnancy pictures that don't exist.
I had never heard that one. Was she
impregnated
by a Kenyan or
No. I don't think so. I think they had a surrogate.
Oh, okay.
God, I can't. The only thing I'm seeing is he said it's not accurate, or
what I heard was he said that he would not stand by that story or something to that effect.
He said it's not accurate.
All right.
I mean, that's that quote. The quote is not accurate. I'm trying to find the full quote.
I'm looking as well.
But the point is there is zero evidence to believe this is true. And this is an author who has already lied about stories and gotten called out for it before. These stories are it doesn't matter. The point is all of these stories coming through, they have no evidence. We've been talking about them, whether it's like we said, whether it's the nigger tape or it's that
when you say the nigger tape, what are you talking about?
Yeah, there's been 2 tapes that people have said that they were going to come out. You guys have done podcasts.
Oh, okay. The Trump. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It was the tape from Celebrity Apprentice or whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be released. It's going to come out. Everybody always has this evidence, but it's never ever presented. All you end up with doing is having people saying speculative things about things that somebody else completely made up, where they won't give up any of their sources. None of these things are verified. They're breaking bare minimum journalistic standards that you can look up anywhere. These are complete violations of ethics. Like, you're supposed to have 2 people and you're supposed to be able to confirm your story from multiple sources. They don't do any of that.
Well, I mean, don't. I mean, I know that BuzzFeed exists. I don't put any weight on them in terms of their
But
credibility.
it doesn't matter, dude. The New York Times is doing that.
Well, the New York, everyone's saying BuzzFeed is reporting, right? So everyone's source is BuzzFeed.
No, New York Times has completely lied and made these stories. Remember that whole op-ed that came from some insider that was completely fabricated? Like, it doesn't matter the source. It's all of these sources are doing it. All of media, all of it. Remember, here's one thing that I really am desperate to do. The YouTube community and like alternative media acts like they're spitting out some kind of truth and they're pushing the pushback. But if you look at all of their videos, it's the exact same topics and the exact same videos and the exact same discussions and talking points and narratives of the same thing mainstream media is doing. What I'm trying to say is that we're being completely fed narratives that are just lies, and then they're reporting on the things that they lied about. Like this whole story that everyone's talking about has no evidence of anything Mueller has done, no evidence of anything that Trump has done. The only thing here is media talking about media about, and they have no information.
Okay, I mean that is, in my opinion, that is yet to play out.
Yeah, but that's true in this situation. But to also say that Mueller is lying right now when the last 2 years of everything you've been saying is that Mueller's honest. That's what I'm saying. The left and you, because I'm bitting on you, whatever, because you're in the left narrative, is there's no principles. It's completely dependent upon what is on that team at the moment. Today's Mueller's not trustful. 3 days ago, he was going to fix the world.
Well, all right. So I found the official statement from Peter Carr, a spokesman for Mueller, who said BuzzFeed's description of specific statements to the special counsel's office and the characterizations of documents and testimony obtained by this office regarding Michael Cohen's congressional testimony are not accurate.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, we haven't talked about the BuzzFeed story yet. And again, I don't put any particular.
It's not about the BuzzFeed story, Jim. It doesn't matter this story. It is all of the stories, all of them. Like, I'm going to go back to a basic one where, when Trump does and I mean this because I'm not saying Trump. I mean, this is true most likely of Obama as well. Like, all the stories and everything we were talking about was fucking nonsense. Like, he was painted as this good person, which is not objectively true. And now Trump is being painted as this bad person, which does not appear to be objectively true. Like, remember, but he does it, and he supposedly mocks the reporter.
Yes.
He took that as an isolated incident. But you go on YouTube, anyone can, and you can see that that is a generic move that he has done his entire life. When he's making fun of somebody for saying something stupid, he goes in, they're like, "Grr." That's something he has done forever. It's not in that isolated incident. So you take an action that he has done for decades and then apply it to one situation so a narrative should create it. He wasn't mocking him for being disabled. He was mocking him for being stupid.
Okay. And I would say that's kind of a douchebaggy way to go about it. But
the whole argument, Jim, was not that it was douchebaggy. It was that he was mocking a person for being disabled, which was no evidence of that. That's what I'm saying. Something that basic.
I'll go along with you on that. We don't really know what his intention was, right? I mean, you're saying he does that all the time. This time he just happened to be doing it to a disabled person.
Yeah, you're right. We don't know. But that's the thing, is if we don't know, then you shut the fuck up.
Okay. When we do know that he's just flat out lied, like when he says things like, I never said Mexico would pay for it. When jumping to, well, I won't jump to Giuliani.
All lie, moot point. You don't know whether they're misspeaks. You don't know whether they're misunderstandings. You can do this with anyone, but they say, like him saying the Mexicans are going to pay for it. Those things are taken. That's part of the narrative. It's just like if I go out and go into a fight and this dude is like, I'm going to step on your sidewalk. I'm like, that's not my property. If you fucking step on my grass, you're going to pay for it. I don't necessarily mean he's going to hand me $5. You understand?
Oh,
I mean, this is.
I do. I don't. I mean, in terms of specific. All right. So here's where I think you and I end up, at odds. Is you believe that Trump is basically a, I don't want to use the word victim, but it's the best word I can come up with right now. A subject of constant attack from the media based on no evidence whatsoever. And certainly, what's that?
I'll go with victim.
Okay, fine. So he is the victim of relentless attacks by the mainstream media, and now you're saying by the alternative media, and that people say things without evidence, and it catches fire and then becomes the narrative, even though there's no evidence to back it up. Now, some things you can't have evidence for, right? There's really no way to have evidence that says when he mocked that reporter that he was or wasn't. And so, so you made the point. What's that?
Yeah, there is. There's other videos of him doing that to other people that weren't disabled.
Okay. Again, if doing the "oh, I'm a retard," now that we're saying words that people get in trouble for these days. All right. In this case, he happened to find someone who was physically handicapped.
Yeah, man. So it's all subjective. Who gives a fuck about your opinion? So that's the thing, is these things are all classist. And that's I heard Milo talking about this, and goddamn, Milo's another version. I have listened to this dude and heard him out, and he's not nearly what he's painted out to be. And the things that he's saying, a lot of it is incredibly intelligent. And this is a point he was talking about, is that this is all classism narrative baiting. So what they're doing is the elite classes have a certain language in the way they speak. And what a lot of the attacks on Trump are just that he's not speaking the way the elite educated people do. And this isn't a primary example. It's like, who cares the way he says it? Or if you're like, oh, who does that? That's low class. Yeah, sure, that's low class. Whatever. That doesn't have anything to do with the policies, how things are helping in this country, where we are going, or anything. That's just you saying he's not as elite as me in my language.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, I think we would both agree that not sounding like an elite helped him get elected. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he's not an elite. He's a class trader. He's not elite. So that's the thing. He comes from the elite. He traded on that. He didn't really buy into any of it, and maybe it's because he's stupid. I don't know. Who cares? The thing is, he didn't buy into that. So he is someone in the elite classes that traded out of that, and most of the insults and the complaints are based around him not being elite. And this is coming from the people who are supposed to care about the people who are not elite.
Okay. Can I go back to my question during our text exchange?
You can go back in.
Okay. So if let's say there is an audio tape of Cohen recorded something of Trump saying, "Hey, when you go before Congress, you'd better tell them that there's nothing to the Russia story." And Cohen says, well, we both know there is, Donald. He goes, I don't care. I'm the president of the United States. You better lie to Congress. I know that that's an absurd thing in terms of it's actually going to come true. But hypothetically speaking, if that is recorded and the tape is found to be authentic, should he be impeached?
No.
Why not?
Say it, because that is not even a rational, coherent position to even have. Like, to even think that, even if he said it, to even think it was serious or contained any authority. Like, my analogy that I use is this is like a parent at 7-Eleven having a kid acting up and being like, seeing a police officer and being like, officer, lock this child up for being bad. And then the officer does it, and you would blame the parent. It doesn't make any sense. The relationship is the other way around. In a client, Trump is the client. The attorney is there to provide advice. You're then saying that essentially the violation would be that Trump was acting as an unauthorized lawyer to his unauthorized client that he doesn't have any relationship with. And if you are saying that, then you have attorney-client privilege. So none of this makes any sense.
No. What I'm talking about now is a witness in a crime or an alleged crime is being told by someone else affected by the same thing, you need to do things to cover up my crimes. To me, it's more like a
lawyer. As I'm saying, yes. You can't say, oh no, I'm talking about this as if it were a context between a son and a daughter, or I mean a mom and a daughter. Like, that's not what's occurring here. The context is a client talking to his lawyer.
Or
You
that
can't
client is
change
also
fucking
that client is also talking to a witness who's about to testify in front of Congress.
It doesn't matter. If you're going to tell me, if you go to your lawyer, your personal lawyer, you've been charged with murder, and you're sitting down talking to your personal lawyer, and he's like, you know, I think that they're going to fucking ask me questions about that burglary that took place on Fifth Avenue, that even if they said that we did together, and he was like, you better not tell them about that. That is not an actual order. That does not carry authority. It's like being when you have an insult, when you're assault, like for a cop, say you're an officer arriving onto a scene, and a 30-year-old man says that he's going to beat the shit out of this 100-pound woman. Okay, that threat carries weight. Now, if a 5-pound child, 50-pound, 50-pound teenager, 100-pound teenager is making a threat to me that he's going to kick my ass, the cops don't do anything because the threat's not valid.
Okay, I mean, now we're kind of talking about the Cash Me Outside girl, but
yeah, it's not a valid scenario. You're talking about a client talking to their attorney. So even if it was, it's not a valid conversation. The power dynamic is the other way around. He cannot tell him what to do.
Okay, I disagree with you here because we're not talking about a client. If it was attorney-client privileged information, then Michael Cohen, should just say nothing. But if he's instructed to lie, I don't see how that is not obstruction of justice. Now, I don't know what the rules are for testifying in front of Congress versus testifying in court. So the court lawyer comparison loses steam to me because...
Dude, are you telling me that I should have been fired as a cop if I would have known, if I would have known that you were speeding and you were going to court and you would say, what should I do? And I said, whatever you do, don't tell them you were fucking actually speeding. Do you think I should have been fired for that?
I don't think that's an accurate analogy to testifying in front of Congress. Again, if you advise me to say, don't tell him you were speeding, and you're acting as my lawyer, then no, that you're doing your job and you're giving me.
I said, stop changing the fucking scenario.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I don't think a person testifying in front of Congress over a specific issue being told by the President of the United States is the same as a cop talking to someone who...
Those are friends. They've already had a relationship, and one has power and the other one doesn't. It's the exact same thing.
You're saying that Cohen has power, though, and how can you say the president...
No, you don't have power. No, I'm the cop.
Right.
You're asking me. So we're friends in Baltimore. We're friends.
Okay.
You're an engineer, and I'm a cop back in the day. Okay?
Okay.
So you get pulled over in Baltimore for speeding.
Okay.
Crime.
Yes.
I would say
violation. Violation, but okay.
Let's be dramatic. I'm being hyperbolic. So I'm just narrowing it down to a common scenario. And I say to you, say, hey man, I got a fucking ticket because all of my friends ask me what to do, right? And I tell on the air and I tell everybody else, whatever you do, you don't talk to police, period. Right? So is that obstruction of justice?
Saying don't talk to the police is basically saying use the Fifth Amendment. So no, that is not. Now, if you said...
But that's the same thing you said. You said he said, you said Trump said, don't tell them anything.
No, I said Trump said,
no,
I said Trump, I'm saying the opposite. If you, as a cop, tell them definitively that you were not speeding, not don't tell them that you were, those are two different things, right?
So now you're philosophizing and you have a principle. It's just the left is completely unprincipled. So this is the thing. You're now saying that a lie by omission and a lie by action are different.
Yes, because you have the right to remain silent. You don't have the right to lie to Congress.
You have the right to remain silent when you're talking to the police.
Okay, well, you also have the right to not self-incriminate, and you can take the Fifth in court too.
You're saying if he says don't incriminate yourself, but he goes, hey, you better give them a different story. You're saying that narrative, that thing is worthy of prison or being fired? That difference, that subtle difference there.
Again, I think when you're talking about a witness to... So let me throw a different scenario. Well, let's see, it doesn't work because you'd have attorney-client privilege.
every time because it's not a principal position, man. It doesn't matter changing the scenario. You're going to say that I should have been fired if I would have told you, hey, then here's the scenario that you just changed. So now I told you, hey, don't tell them you were speeding. Well, it was a 35 and a 25, and I say, hey, just tell them you were doing about 8 miles per hour over, because that's when judges don't really care. You're going to tell me I should have been fired for that difference?
I'm not saying that, but again, I don't consider this apples to apples. I see what you're trying to do is I totally understand.
Hold on. The president does not have nearly the power of your local sheriff, police department deputy on the scene. Doesn't have nearly the power. He can't take your freedom away. He can't fucking kill you. He can't do any of these things. He does not have the power that your local police officer does.
Not in a one-on-one situation, but in terms of their overall job responsibilities. Come on.
Oh, disagree. You can say overall job responsibility, but when it comes to power, physical power over the control over another person's life, the police officer has vastly more power.
I understand your point, and we could spar on this and go nowhere.
But you're trying to make it power dynamics, and I'm saying they're at least equal, or the cop has more.
Okay, what I'm really trying to say though is, if you tell someone to, if you as a potentially accused person tell a witness to a crime that you may or may not have been involved in, I want you to perjure yourself, I believe that's clearly obstruction of justice. How am I wrong?
Don't we have any claim where he's like, I want you to perjure yourself?
If he says, all right, so then.
So you're saying I'm telling you to perjure yourself if I told you to say 8 miles per hour over the speed limit?
No, I'm not. I'm saying if you're the president and Michael Cohen is going for Congress, and you say, what's that?
What if I'm in the car with you then?
You're in the car. You're in the car with me.
I'm in the car with you. You're speeding, and I even told you. I told you that the speed limit was 45, and it was actually 35.
If you told me to not to, if all right, let's change the scenario a little bit just to try to make it. If let's say there is weed in the car, and they're charging both of us with, illegal possession of marijuana. Sorry, cannabis. And I get questioned about your case, and you tell me, say that weed was yours. That's suborning perjury, right?
No, because you're telling them to admit to a crime. It's different. You would have to say, tell them that wasn't there when we got in the car.
Oh, okay, but if
I had weed on me and it was in a rental car now, so we're driving in a car, you have weed on you in a rental car, okay? And so this is illegal for me to do too, to be in this car knowing that you have the cannabis, right? So we're driving in the car and you put it underneath the seat, and then the cops pull us over and arrest us, and later on I say, hey, just don't fucking tell them that was in the car or that we brought it in there. Just fucking tell them it was already there.
Okay, right.
You have no idea. You're going to tell me I should have been fired for that as a cop. That's not even fired. That's not impeaching. That's not fucking trying to say it's a criminal offense. I'm lowering the bar to say you think I should have been fired for that.
I'm saying, if you tell me when you go to court, say something that's not true, then yes, you're suborning perjury.
Then you're going to tell that every single cop in this country needs to be fired.
What's that?
Every single cop in this country needs to be fired. They've all told their friends advice on how to get out of something like this.
But they weren't being investigated.
Why not? We just set up scenarios where they are.
In this scenario,
if that's the principle, so you're only saying if you're part of it. But the thing is, if you're a cop, and the moment that you start giving advice, you're a part of it legally.
Okay. But again, that's why I don't use this apples to apples, because in this case, the cop is legally in.
No, I'm lowering. This is not apples to apples. I am lowering the bar for you, and you still cannot stick to a principle.
I'm not necessarily taking your scenario as.
Okay, so Jim, what's the principle then? Narrow it out for me. What is the principle?
The principle is, again, now I'm purely speaking hypothetically. I'm not putting any.
No, principle. So if it's wrong to lie, what is your principle?
It's using your power, and the president has power over Michael Cohen, and telling him to perjure himself to protect me, the president, is...
Okay, so now you're saying that these two people who are friends, now they're in a power dynamic.
They're definitely in a power dynamic.
They've been friends their entire life, and every year up until this moment, Cohen has been the powerful one.
When the president of the United States, who has the power to pardon me, Michael Cohen...
Dude, if I become president tomorrow, did our relationship entirely change? That's so silly.
Well,
they've known each other for fucking what? How long? When did these guys even meet?
But how does their friendship impact the legality
of... You're saying there's a power dynamic.
How is there not a power dynamic?
Clients who are friends for at least a decade.
Okay, well, they've had a relationship for at least a decade. How good of friends they are?
They speak like friends. I don't know.
They seemed like friends until they weren't, right? But clearly they had a professional relationship where he handled affairs.
Yeah, but who cares? So now you're saying whether so then take friends out. Say fine, they're not friends. Fine. So let's say a client who has known each other for over a decade.
Okay. And I'm saying
what is your principle?
I'm not seeing it as attorney-client. I'm seeing it as witness and co-defendant.
Right. Okay. So I just laid out the scenario with the cops, and you don't even now. So are you going back and saying I should be fired?
Yes. If you tell me to commit perjury,
do you think I should have been fired?
I think you should face whatever the legal action for suborning perjury as a cop is. What was that?
I mean, if you would have played that all out,
then yes, that's what I'm saying.
You think your police department, their friends, conversations, maybe with their lawyer, maybe with just their friend, if they happen to be arrested for something at the same time, or being investigated for something that they even didn't do, and they're just shooting the shit talking, or they're even saying, hey, don't fucking tell them this, or fucking tell them that, or fucking tell them your grandma did it, that you think that all of those cops should be fired. That should be the rule of your police department. If you have principles, you think in all scenarios.
Again, I'm not seeing it that way. I'm seeing it as, hey, Jim, my trial starts tomorrow. You're going to be called as a witness. When you get up there, you better tell them that weed was something that was there beforehand.
That's fine. I don't like that. Change it to Trump himself. Change it. I already changed the scenario. I'm not saying that even they were two friends having a casual conversation. So let's say, so you're saying now, which isn't the story what the story alleges, we're just setting up false scenarios now, where you're alleging Trump is like, hey, motherfucker, tell them fucking Jim did it, or tell them you don't fucking know. What the fuck's wrong with you? That if I said it with aggression, now it's different. So we're back to subjective classes, you know. So now now we're tone policing again.
I see your point. I still see it. The context matters a lot to me in this case, because if it's
context of what, like, set it up. This is so. If you listen to my climate control debate, and this is the exact same you think I keep hearing. You keep giving me your subjective opinion. And we're talking about the law, and we're talking about principles, and so no one gives a fuck about your opinion.
Okay, fine, but there is such a thing as suborning perjury, right? Let me change this to mafia boss tells some lackey, you know.
Okay, so now Trump's a mafia boss. I got it.
I didn't say that, but if you want to infer it, that's fine. And some knockaround guy gets picked up, and they're trying to get him to flip on the mafia boss, and that mafia boss tells this flunky, when you're under oath, you better tell them that I was not in the country when this murder happened. That's suborning perjury, right?
Dude, this is not the same scenario because you have a crime.
Okay, but the scenario I just painted is a crime, right?
I'm fine if you have a crime. No, you had an original crime. There's no original crime here.
Meaning collaborating with Russia is not a crime?
You don't have any evidence of that. So this is the thing. Everybody on the left keeps doing this. You keep setting up a scenario where you use evidence of, like, say there was a murder and then the people did this. Well, the murder is an actual crime and you have a dead body. That's a different, it's an entirely different scenario.
I'm trying to think of the way to.
Don't have any evidence of Russian collusion. So that's the thing, is the left thinks that Russian collusion took place, which again, you have zero fucking evidence for, and then you're basing the next step off of the previous one being, which was never established as true.
Okay, we have evidence that people in the Trump campaign collaborated with Russians, correct?
No.
We don't?
No.
There's a hell of a lot of indictments and guilty pleas.
What do you mean by having a dinner with somebody who lived in Russia once, who's actually Ukrainian? Okay.
Well, then
if you talk about everyday occurrences, yeah, you have everyday occurrences. I'm sorry, dude. If somebody was like, how many people know people from other countries? I mean, that's like, how many collusion efforts do I have with, you know, fucking Puerto Ricans or something? Tons.
Okay, so let me ask a related question. All the U.S. intelligence agencies have said that Russia is that's a lie?
A lie. That's a complete lie. One agency said that, said the other 17 agencies agreed, and they never did. That is not a true thing. Only like 3 people said it, and I don't care that they fucking said it, Jim. They have no evidence. They also said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. The fucking people also said the earth was flat. You're going to fucking tell me that we're going to trust the CIA and the FBI? That is fucking nonsense.
So the FBI made up the Russian collusion story?
Of course. And they didn't make it. Already know how this was made up. The DNC made it up by paying for the dossier, which was completely fabricated, and then they sold that to themselves, and then the FBI used that planted evidence. We know this. This is known. Look it up. They planted the evidence and then used the warrant. They used the dossier to get the warrant. So they paid, the DNC paid for the warrant, paid for the dossier, and then the FBI wrote a warrant based on the dossier. None of this is evidence. This is all just made up.
Okay, and we also know for a fact that either Jim Comey is a complete liar, or that Trump asked him to back off the Russia investigation. Correct?
Jim Comey is a complete liar.
So, in your estimation, Trump did not ask Comey to back off the Russia investigation.
There is absolutely zero evidence to believe that is true, unless you now are exalting James Comey to a place where everything he says is solid fact. And if you're going to do that, let me know, because I'll start pulling up a lot of other shit James Comey has said.
Well, I mean, all right.
No evidence, Jim. No evidence other than hearsay. Hearsay is not evidence.
What's that?
Hearsay is not evidence.
Well, Comey says directly it was said to me. That's not hearsay. That's testimony.
It's fucking hearsay, dude. That's the definition.
Hearsay is so-and-so said this, and then I'm repeating what they said. If I testify that...
Dude, that's what you just fucking explained.
No. If someone says to me... If I'm asked the question, what did Mike say about this thing? I can't repeat your opinion. If Jim Comey says Trump said this to me, then that is evidence. That is testimony of this was said directly to me, and I am acknowledging the truth of that.
No, because that's when there's an actual event. It's hearsay to establish something. You get the difference?
I mean, we got the engineer and the business / social scientist talking about legal matters now. This is where we can actually use Steve. I said actually, like, we can't usually, but anyway.
So what you're saying to me is hearsay. You're saying James Comey told you that Trump said this, and I should believe that. That's hearsay. I don't understand how you're getting around that.
If Comey testifies, the president said to me...
Comey's never testified to that.
Yes, he did in front of Congress, didn't he?
That the president told him
to back to back off the Flynn investigation.
He said that to Congress? No fucking way. I'm looking it up.
All right. I'm pretty damn sure he said that in front of.
Okay, it's the moot point. I'm talking about the principles.
All right. And this is what. All right. So if in principle, see, to me, there's a big jump between two people with whatever relationship talking about how to handle a legal matter versus I know you are about to testify and I'm telling you you'd better do this. I'm not saying that's what we have. That's basically what BuzzFeed was saying, right?
Say it again. Let me make sure we got it right.
Sorry. So BuzzFeed, the way I read BuzzFeed's claim is that Trump was telling Comey, when you testify, say things that are not true, right? That's what BuzzFeed is saying.
Not Comey.
What's that?
Cohen. Talking about the lawyer?
No, I'm talking about the allegation from BuzzFeed is that Cohen was told by Trump.
You were saying Comey.
I'm sorry, I meant Cohen. So the allegation from BuzzFeed is that Trump told him, when you testify, say things that aren't true, right? That's the allegation from BuzzFeed. Even if it is purely fabricated, that's the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that is true, how is that not suborning perjury? That's not a conversation between two buddies or even a lawyer and a client. That is a witness and a fellow involved person.
Yeah, because you have to establish intent. So a lot of the ways you establish intent is by having a fucking crime.
Okay, so Cohen has a crime, right?
You have to establish intent. Understand that, right?
But yes, but Cohen, there's a crime.
You have to establish intent. Right? It can't be just an off-the-cuff joke. You have to establish intent.
Understood, but in terms of there needing to be an underlying crime, Cohen is going to prison.
So what? This.
Well,
I mean, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Focus.
What? Well, if the thing he's going to prison for is related to what he was testifying about, and he was told to lie by a person, what's that?
It's not in this scenario.
Personally, I'm a bit obsessive about the pursuit of not being wrong, which is very different than the pursuit of truth. I find that reality is unknowable, and each individual has their own truth. My work is about the bigger societal picture of what builds a safe and free community. I discovered that understanding policing was really about understanding crime, and understanding crime was really about understanding human behavior. From this path, I have made claims that I wish to be held to the strongest levels of debate and scrutiny. Anyone willing to publicly debate anything I have stated, please reach out and do it. There is no need to write cowardly articles or play gossip girls on social media. I'm right here. Anything about policing, gun control, violence, crime, race, mass organizations, media, and such. Email info@imembermedia.com. And someone will respond to arrange a discussion to be posted right here on the Nuance podcast and video broadcast. Here are some of the arguments I make that supposedly have many willing to debate but never seem to show up. Not a single police department is fighting the things that cause crime. All violence is a biological malfunction. There are 4 outstanding correlates to violence and crime. In order of prominence, they are environmental toxins, resource inequality, local instability, and the use of state-sanctioned violence. The Second Amendment prevents the superior right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Second Amendment is the recipe of police killings. That means killing cops and killer cops. The difference between gender and sex is simple, and there are limitless genders. There is no such thing as being transgender. I have found that the history of American policing has a foundation of 3 pillars which continue to define the fundamental functions of policing in the United States. They are the first and primary pillar of American policing, the creation and maintenance of oppressed classes from which resources are extracted to institute continued oppression. Second is the valuing of superior class property over the lives of oppressed classes. And third, the continued genocide of the indigenous nations of North America. All media pundits are phony intellectuals and will only debate the ignorant or other media pundits who are in on the game. It is impossible for the current structures to fix policing to serving the people. The police must be restructured to take orders from the community, not institutional power systems. There is no free will. And I'm sure there are plenty more if you choose to look. So if any of these or any of those strike you or are something you want to argue, then do not just sit there. If you think your favorite pundit will destroy me in a debate, then do not tell me. I don't give a damn. Petition them to further the discussion. I will always be respectful. I will not insult, but I will do the most offensive thing that you can do to another person. I will treat you like an equal. Email info@imembermedia.com or go to the website imembermedia.com. Reach out.
Okay.
He's telling him to lie by your standard, like even
Yes.
saying it's true, to lie about a crime we have no evidence took place. So how do you establish intent?
It's a crime that's being investigated, right?
For what? How do you establish intent?
But and now you're talking about the intent of Trump to Cohen.
Yeah, how do you establish that Trump's intent was
that
to actually not testify?
That is or to falsely testify.
Yeah.
That's what if this information exists, that's what needs to be sussed out to determine whether or not it is.
If it's true, you can take this at face value. Okay, take the whole scenario at face value. You say BuzzFeed is true. Where to impeach or to say he's even wrong, you must establish intent. So again, like I can't be saying to you, like say you did it or say we're doing it, and I'm just saying it in jest, like I don't mean it. How do you have to establish that there's intent, that this is real? How do you establish intent?
So I guess there's context that needs to be done, but let's go back to my mafia boss.
No. You said you wanted to say with this scenario, with it being true, we don't have to go back to a mafia boss. I'm asking you how in this scenario you establish intent.
Play the tape for me. Give me the time.
I don't know what he says. If he says exactly the worst scenario, if he says, you tell those motherfuckers that fucking someone else did it, bitch.
Okay.
How do you establish that that was truly his intent and not hyperbole or joking or something? Tell me how.
I'm not being a lawyer. I don't know what the standard is.
No, your own principle must establish this. This is not about a legal thing. This is about intent. You have to differentiate him from meaning it or just joking, because now are you saying that jokes should be fucking criminal?
No, I'm not. You know I'm not saying that.
Okay, so now you have to establish intent.
Right.
How?
And again,
you don't have a crime.
There is a criminal investigation that is ongoing, correct?
Doesn't matter. No other criminal. There's not a criminal investigation. It's an inquiry, because investigations take place after you have discovered a crime.
Okay. I mean, how many people have been indicted?
You're literally hunting for the crime. I can't think of something more evil.
I'm sure you could think of something more evil if you tried. But
it's the position that he should be impeached, and now, just like the media narrative, you are trying to find a way to put a crime on him instead of having a crime.
Well, so how many people have been indicted and or prosecuted for under the Mueller investigation?
Two of any significance. The vast majority of them have been Russians who were. Nobody has been arrested or prosecuted or convicted of anything dealing with Russian collusion. They're just people that have been involved in other crimes that get caught up in searches for crimes. Just like if we were searching for a crime amongst you, we would catch a lot of your friends in the process. A lot more than
what is Flynn going to? He's going to prison for lying to the FBI, right?
Yeah.
And what did he lie about?
I mean, we don't know. These are fucking. We don't know. These are just what we're being told. These are just pleas. We don't know the facts. Right?
Okay.
So they're just taking pleas, just like anybody else. Like, this is what I mean. When we're talking about Khalif Browder and why you take pleas, everybody understands the oppression of the system and how it can make you plead to things so you can take an easier road out than risking life in prison. But when it happens to somebody, when it happens to the person we don't like, we think they're getting off.
In principle, I agree with you. Go ahead.
It's so unprincipled that I have no idea where to begin. I feel like I can't even discuss things because the vast majority of the narrative has got us all has us all focused around things that just aren't true.
So here, first of all, when you make the Khalif Browder comparison, you're making a very solid principled point, and I'll definitely agree with that. Where I come back at you on these things is when you're saying the BuzzFeed story is completely fabricated. You don't know that. Just because the tape doesn't
if you tell me that you went and you bench pressed fucking 700 pounds, I have no evidence to think that you're a liar, right? Technically.
Actually, you do. You have logic.
Exactly. This is why I am.
You can know that's 50 pounds more than the world record.
For the last 3 years has been false.
But so here's where let me throw a different example and go back to George Bush. The memo that got I'm drawing a blank of the name of the CBS journalist who quit because of. Do you remember the memo about Bush's military service that was it Dan Rather?
I don't.
Did Dan Rather resigned over? Anyway, so there was a document that he produced that he said was evidence of George Bush having received preferential treatment while in the Texas Air National Guard.
I only know
that. What's that?
I don't know about this well, but so,
okay, but yeah, play along. But so the document that was produced ended up being a flawed document. So your statement is true that there is now no evidence of that statement, and I want to say it was Dan Rather, but I could be mixing up my old-time news anchors. So Dan Rather resigns because he admitted that evidence, a document that could not be corroborated. So there's no evidence of that being true. However, that the fact that the document is fabricated doesn't mean it didn't happen. The fact that
he has a document.
What's that?
He has a document at least. You have already elevated the standard.
Actually, no, I've lowered the standard because I said it was a document that couldn't be verified.
No, it doesn't matter. He even has a document. BuzzFeed doesn't even have a document.
And what I'm saying is we don't know what BuzzFeed has.
No, they don't. They haven't admitted to anything. They've already said they don't have anything. They only have what these sources have told them, who they won't identify.
Okay. If all they have is unnamed sources, then I agree. That's not newsworthy.
That's all any of these are unnamed sources.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is all right, so back to your favorite arguing point of Brett Kavanaugh, which I don't know why you keep throwing that at me because we fucking agree on it.
No, we do, but me and Steve sure as shit don't.
No, and Steve and I don't, trust me. But I mean, so
just an example of the narratives. I'm just telling you that the media narratives are fabricated. That entire Kavanaugh hearing was fabricated out of thin air. You can find one crazy.
Well, I mean, look,
you can find hundreds of crazy people to say it.
Completely agree. But what I'm saying is just because, all right, so in the case of Kavanaugh, I mean, there are people who we now know made shit up. And
yeah, but beyond that, Jim, this is what I'm saying as another example. There is zero evidence that a crime ever took place. What the fuck are you investigating?
Now we're back to Trump and Mueller.
Any of these. We're talking about Kavanaugh. With Kavanaugh, even though you haven't seen that, there's zero evidence that even any sexual assault took place. How do you investigate when you don't have a crime? It's baffling.
Oh, well, again, I've made many people very unhappy with me about this, but in the Kavanaugh case, I agree with you. We have an allegation that is blurry from something that happened 30-some years ago between two teenagers that can't be substantiated in any way, and people will make me sound like a shitty person. I've had that's why I hate talking to people about this, because I get thrown at me well, boys will be boys, right, Jim? That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can't make a 30-year-old accusation at someone with no evidence and then use that as a reason to disqualify them for a job or put them in jail or whatever. If Kavanaugh was charged with a crime, with sexual assault, retroactive to 1983, and probably statute of limitations would matter, but pretending it didn't.
They asked for her to file. She couldn't file. Montgomery County Police Department said there is no there is no statute of limitations on this in Montgomery County. Please come file a report.
And if they had, that would have been thrown out by a judge, right? Because there's no physical evidence.
Past the officer.
What's that?
I'd be surprised if it makes it past the officer.
Okay. And again, this is a situation where you and I agree. I don't know that applies to
just as much evidence. You have more evidence with Kavanaugh than you do in this BuzzFeed story, or anything against Trump. You at least have somebody saying something.
Well, I
willing to take the stand. You don't have any of that with Trump. You don't have a single witness willing to take the stand against Trump.
I don't think we know that, do we?
There aren't any. Why wouldn't they do it? Do it. I mean, no one's stopping you. These things like we act like you can't do.
It's an ongoing investigation, Mike.
No. There's nobody involved in this who is going up and saying that this took place. Nobody. That's what I'm saying. You don't even have a witness who's willing to take the stand. You have a prosecutor who is actively searching for witnesses. These are different ball games. Can you imagine if I was out knocking on doors trying to find witnesses for a murder that that didn't even take place? Like if I was a cop and I'm just banging on doors in West Baltimore and I'm like, hey, did you see this crime? Did you hear anything last night about the shooting out here? I guarantee you I would have like 5 people who told me they heard evidence about the murder last night. You don't even have that.
Yeah,
it's laughable. The left and all of these anti-Trump arguments are fucking laughable. And everyone's gonna look back at this shit. Just like I get on you when I look back at these episodes, go look back at your own Whiskey Congress podcast episodes and see the stories that you were talking about in the past, that all of these things are just not true. They're not true. So why do we keep talking about these things that aren't true?
So let me go back to the point I was trying to make before, and I kind of messed it up. The allegation of him dropping an N-bomb while on set at Celebrity Apprentice. So the tape never showed up. That does not, and so I'll grant you that means you can't say he did this with certainty, because they said there was a tape and we've never seen it. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, though, right?
Well, I mean, of course, but you're asking me to prove negative, so we can't go on.
True, but then again, we're also
is very destructive. You're talking about proving innocence. Like, I think that's extremely dangerous mindset to have.
I actually agree with you. However, when we've got a guy who we know, he also claimed that the grab him by the pussy tape was maybe not him.
I remember saying that, but who cares? He can't just be saying that in jest. You have to, because it's obvious that it's him. But like, I don't understand like why any of this matters. Because that's what I'm saying. You're getting to him again. You're just classism him. You are more elite than him. You're more you have a better vocabulary than him. I get it. I'm impressed.
No, it's not better vocabulary. It's that when I see a videotape of you doing something, and you tell me what are you going to believe, me or your own lying eyes, the credibility of that person is fair to criticize. Maybe it's not a crime.
It's serious, dude.
What's that?
If he's being serious, you're just applying. That's what I'm saying. You are projecting your preconceived notions onto other people.
No, if you tell me I never did this, and I say, hey, here's video of you doing this, and you go, nope, didn't do it.
You
okay,
don't think I words in jest, especially when there's video.
But if you're saying you never said the words, or if you're not sure if you're
like me saying nope, I never said nigger, and then you pull up 85,000 tapes of me saying nigger, and I go nope, that's not me. Dude, that's what I'm saying. You are projecting. This is your emotions that you're projecting on other people. Just because you read the sentence that way, just because you feel that way, again, no one gives a fuck. No one should give a fuck anyway.
Well, I don't know what they shouldn't give a fuck about, but
establish that the other person meant it that way. Just because you say that Jim killed Steve because he was mad at him about eating too many cookies doesn't mean that that's why it actually happened.
I'm not talking about why something happened.
Yeah, you are. He was saying it to be a joke.
Right. But then he said he never said the words.
What if he was still joking, asshole?
Okay. All right, fine.
You're asking me to prove negatives, and these are obvious things. This dude spends his entire life joking. He used to call pretending to be somebody else so he could create his own news stories. I mean, you're talking
John Miller, right?
I forget. Yeah, but he does these things all the time. And you don't know that he's not doing it with good intent, or he's not doing it because he's dealing with something else and he wants the media to run off. Like, you don't know that that's not true. Doing all these what ifs can be done for forever. You have to focus on what is, not what if.
All right, on that topic, I always enjoy these conversations, but did you ever hear the Pete Davidson story?
I don't know it perfectly. He's the comedian, right?
He's the Saturday Night Live comedian, yeah. And when Trump was on Saturday Night Live, according to Pete Davidson, they're in the middle of like the preparation meetings, and he picks up the phone and pretends to get a phone call. He goes, "Wow, really? That's great. Hey guys, my book just went to #1," and like never even actually turned the phone on. Now you're right. That could be me being funny, and it's certainly not criminal. But it's indicative of a personality, a character, whatever. And again, all right.
Here we
fine.
go. Okay. I think you're a dick for that, dude. Really do. I think it's a dickish opinion. Like, to project all of that negativity on other human beings that you don't know, and you're just doing it to insult them. I don't think that, like, the liberal principle. This is what I say about no principles. The number one principle of liberalism is supposed to be that all people are inherently good, and all you guys do is shit on other people. I don't get it.
Okay. I've never said all people are inherently good, though.
No, that's liberalism. That's what I'm saying. Why would we be good to everybody if they aren't all inherently good?
Why would repeat the question?
Why would we be good people if they weren't all inherently good?
I think all people have the same rights would be the liberal premise, that people are inherently good. What's that?
You don't have, I think 7-year-olds that should have the same rights as fucking 30-year-olds. You don't believe that?
Why don't they?
You think children literally don't have rights? Like,
okay,
soldiers.
Fine. All right.
Like, you don't actually believe
fundamental rights of like the right to survive. We're going to go down a semantic road.
So now your principle is that in cops in scenarios should protect their lives before they protect the lives of citizens?
What? Well, I think it's a different kind of question, but
no, it's not. You just said everyone has the same rights.
Yeah.
And then you defined it to survival. So a police officer should value their life more than the citizen's life.
Or equally?
Sure, even equally. Do you think it should be equal?
Yeah.
So how are they going to protect you?
You're the one who told me that they're not going to.
That's not. I'm talking about your own principles. Don't shift.
Okay. Well, I'm actually what I'm really talking about is the principle that you came at me with, which is that liberals' fundamental stance is that people are all people are inherently good.
That's by the textbook. So if you don't believe that's true, you're definitely not a liberal by the textbook.
Okay, then I guess I'm not a liberal.
Then, by your own principle, you said that everyone has equal rights. That's preposterous. Not everybody has equal rights. Do you think that the dude with a felony and me have the same right to access the firearm?
All right. Well, depending on the nature of the felony, yes or no.
What about your principles, Jim?
Well, okay. We're getting off on tangents here, and I articulated a point.
I narrow you down to that these are your projections. They're not the truth. These are things that you are fabricating so that they fit what you think is already true.
And what I was trying to do was correct the statement that liberals believe that all people are inherently good, because I don't know that is the I don't feel that way. I know there's
all right, so you're just not a liberal. You're not a textbook liberal. That's fine.
Okay, I can live with that.
Of course, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing you.
No. For you to say that to me, I take as a compliment.
Yeah, you should. Because that's preposterous that all people are equal. That's that's what liberals say.
Well, you said all people are good.
Well, are inherently good, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, I do not believe that.
I think they're all inherently good, but that's a different topic.
I've read your book. And we go
right. So now you're saying that all people have equal rights. So you agree that's not true, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's not true. So your first principle, it took 2 seconds to destroy something you thought was your principle.
I articulated it badly. What I was trying to say is, without mitigating factors, like you said, if someone commits a felony, do they lose some rights? Sure, but under the law, everyone should be treated equally, I would say, is the liberal stance. And those variables change based on events. Right?
So when you're principled, the events don't matter. Right? So it doesn't matter if you have a principled position that things are true because you believe a certain way because of this principle, not because of things that have clouded your narrative. This is why liberals don't say anything about Obama drone striking a 16-year-old child.
I'm sorry. Either you broke up or I didn't hear you right.
This is why liberals don't say anything about Obama drone striking a 16-year-old child, because the events don't matter. It's your principles. So their principles, I think, are generally that we're right and this is our team, so they ignore everything else.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there are lots.
But like happening still. Like you can see it in the past, but for some reason, when it's in the present, you don't see it. I don't understand that.
Well, no, I understand your point, and so you seem like sometimes you're trying to catch me on the you just don't like Trump. I've never denied that. I have disliked Donald Trump since the late 80s.
Now, dislike is irrelevant.
Right. Let me hold on.
I mean, I kind of like him, but that's irrelevant.
I've never denied that I dislike the man, period. So, yes, I have a bias against him, no doubt. However, I also don't know where you're coming up with the idea that the intelligence agencies have not come out and said there was Russian interference in our election. I don't see where you're coming up with that.
Interference of Facebook ads that totaled approximately $20,000. Then sure, whatever. That's fucking stupid.
What's fucking stupid?
Thinking that a few $1,000s worth of Facebook ads actually was collusion. Okay, sure.
Well,
it's dumb.
Hold on. That is what the Mueller investigation will eventually tell us, right? If that's what they come up with, there was a couple $1,000.
You know took place already. Right. But, so there were Russian people in Russia paid for some Facebook ads, and the vast majority of them were after the election and not directly tied to Trump. They actually more favored liberal positions than they were. Just the only thing that we have is Facebook ads that I mean, just don't have any influence. It's so silly. You can look up the numbers of what it was. It was like infinitesimally small percentage of internet advertisement. It's nothing.
Again, I think there's a whole lot that we do not know, that we as the public don't know yet.
Man. You could say there's a lot that we don't know. Of course. I mean, that's infinite.
Okay, on this specific issue, there is currently a special investigator
looking for a crime. He can't find one.
That, again, I think that is to be determined, in my opinion. In fact, I don't see how you can say it's not to be determined.
That is fucking crazy. Look, dude, I was a cop, right? I was an investigator, a low-level fucking drug cop, right? But on the big scheme of things, I guarantee you that if there was anything there, I would have had that shit done months ago. Months. There's nothing there. No investigations looking for a crime take this long. That's it goes against all reason.
All right. I mean, I hear your words.
Give me $10 million in a week, and I'll tell you whether there's any crimes on Donald Trump or not. And they were fucking wiretapping this dude's office.
Trump's or Cohen?
DNC and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama had the FBI wiretap a presidential candidate and still didn't get shit.
The whole Obama had the wiretap thing is
he did.
Let me that story is so old that I don't remember the details of it.
No fact now. It happened. This is known. They have the warrants. This happened.
But what did they wiretap?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter. Who cares? The bigger story. What I'm saying, that's a much bigger story that the people in power are trying to subterfuge the elections. That's election interference.
Did they use anything from those wiretaps in the election?
No, but they were looking for them. Do you get that?
Well,
that's
sure.
Unprecedented. That's beyond Watergate level. And no one's talking about that. If that would have been done to Barack Obama, you'd be talking about it to this fucking day.
Well, I could go on about what was done to Barack Obama for hours if you want, but I don't want to speak further on that topic because I don't remember the details well enough at this moment. Let me look some stuff up. I need to get some lunch. Actually, Steve and I are supposed to record in an hour and a half, and I'm starving.
All right, we're get you food and all this stuff, and just like those goddamn climate change things, which we're going to talk about again. I guess we're going
to talk about. If you think so, the guy you talked to and I could not be more different when it comes to climate change.
I'm just telling you, there's no evidence for it. I've been through the literature.
Oh, okay, let's save this for when we're specifically doing it.
You're going to get your shit handed to you. Don't argue with me over this. The evidence does not exist.
The paper. All right, you want? I don't want to do this now. We will talk about this soon.
That's okay. We don't have to do anything, but
yeah. It's in my opinion, if you're gonna have a debate on a subject, talking about it beforehand and then trying to revisit what you talked about never goes well. So we'll save climate change for sometime fairly soon.
It's so baffling to me. I don't understand. Like, I want you to just send me one thing that you think is evidence for any of this. It's such nonsense.
You sent me the Nature article.
Yeah?
Okay, that showed severe. This is what I don't want to do right now.
No, you don't know how to do methodology then. That's the whole thing that I'm telling you. I could go through apps. You can pull up any of these fucking climate reports, any of the science. And as a fucking scholar who understands how to read these fucking things, I will tell you why it's complete shit.
We will have this discussion soon.
They'll do things that they develop their own fucking models.
But Mike, all right, we'll do this soon.
It's a joke. I got to put this out there right now so you can eat it for a little while. If humans, apes, are a tropical species, I got news for you. When you warm the planet, we have more food, more land to use, more resources.
That is, again, we should really save this, but there are aspects to climate change that could be a good thing.
It's extremely beneficial.
It could be, but
not could be. We know this.
Okay.
The evidence, literally, we know of times in the past where it was this way, and we had more vegetation, more areas for humans to live, more resources.
You are now presuming an argument of mine that I've never made. There are negative consequences to climate. Let's do this some other time, man.
There's not negative consequences to climate change, because the only way you can do that is if you are prioritizing non-tropical species over tropical species.
Again, I do very much want to have this conversation, but I don't like doing it preemptively. But I will say, I've never said that climate change isn't something that we could take advantage of. There are negative consequences, and there's also potential needs, but
zero evidence.
Well, hold on though. Hold on. What my big beef is to deny that it's happening.
No one's denying that climate changes, dude.
Oh yes, they are. Come on.
No, they're not. No one is denying that it changes. No one. They deny that you know why.
Okay. And all right. So this is back to the why isn't as important as the actual event. The refusal for political reasons.
That's not true in science. The why is important.
Okay. Well, if an anvil is falling towards my head, whether it was dropped or maliciously thrown at me, doesn't matter. I need to move my head. And if we're going to see changes to our environment as a result of climate change,
what those changes will be for sure.
Okay, well,
how can you adapt to something you have no evidence for? Like, sea level isn't going to rise as much as they think they were. It's common sense, and there's plenty of climate scientists to talk about it. But when the planet's warmer, the water goes up, it evaporates. 72% of the planet is fucking ocean. So the water goes up in the sky and it rains more, and all that water comes back on land, and it doesn't actually make the sea level rise like they say. It doesn't. So how could you respond when you don't know how to respond?
Like I said, let's save this for when we actually record for that subject.
Just trying to do a warning to not even try to broach this, but you're determined.
I am determined.
Why do people argue with me? I've literally never lost an argument in my entire life.
I know that you believe that.
Generally dry day on Wednesday with sunny periods. However, there may be more cloud in the southeast where it will be breezier. After a chilly start, it will be mostly dry on Thursday with some sunny spells. However, it may be rather cloudy in the southeast. Patchy rain will arrive in the north.
These discussions are a deeply personal thing for many of us. There is no media support for science and the pursuit of knowledge. Throughout history, power desires a non-critical populace. I'm not begging for money, but I am pleading that you discuss these issues with the people around you, encourage them to share and subscribe. I'm viewing this work as an attempt to collect information from when people are ready to consume it. That makes this a team effort in the end. The more people that participate, the better discussions we get, and the better our outcomes become. I will do my part. You?